Your heart feels different today, doesn't it? That restless pull beneath your ribs, that electric sensation running through your nervous system, that sudden clarity about what you want, that feels impossible to ignore. On February 8th, 2026, at exactly 4:48 a.m. Eastern Time, Venus, at 27 degrees Aquarius, forms an exact square to Uranus at 27 degrees Taurus, and this cosmic collision is cracking open a freedom portal that will completely transform how you experience love, relationships, values, and connection. You can feel it already, can't you? That strange sensation like your soul is preparing to break free from something you didn't even know was holding you captive. This isn't just another astrological transit. This is the cosmic moment when the universe looks at your heart and says, enough pretending, enough compromising, enough settling. It's time to experience love exactly as your authentic self desires, no matter how unconventional, unexpected, or shocking that looks to anyone else. Before we go deeper into this seismic shift, if you're already feeling this electric disruption in your relationships or values, leave a like and subscribe so the universe knows you're ready for this liberation. And drop a comment saying, I claim my authentic love freedom to lock in this revolutionary frequency. Let's dive in. Venus in Aquarius has been challenging you to reimagine love since January 17th, asking you to question every romantic script society handed you, every relationship rule your family programmed into you, every outdated belief about what partnership should look like. Aquarius is the rebel, the visionary, the one who refuses to follow paths simply because everyone else walks them. Venus in this sign doesn't want traditional love. It wants authentic connection. It doesn't want possessive attachment. It wants freedom within intimacy. It doesn't want to follow templates. It wants to create entirely new relationship paradigms. And for the past 3 weeks, you've been feeling this revolutionary energy building inside you, loosening your grip on outdated relationship patterns, opening your mind to possibilities you once dismissed as too radical or unconventional. But today, everything accelerates. Uranus, the planet of sudden awakening, shocking revelation, and instant transformation, stands at 27 degrees Taurus, in the last degree of the sign before it prepares for its final exit into Gemini in April. Taurus represents security, stability, comfort, material safety, the known patterns we cling to because they feel predictable and controllable. Uranus has been shaking this foundation for 7 years, disrupting your sense of what makes you feel safe, financially secure, and emotionally stable. The square between Venus and Uranus is a 90-degree angle of friction, tension, breakthrough energy that refuses to let stagnation continue. When these two planets collide today, something inside you snaps awake. The part of you that's been tolerating a relationship dynamic that feels suffocating suddenly can't breathe in it anymore. The part of you that's been pretending to want what everyone else wants in love suddenly admits you want something entirely different. The part of you that's been staying because it's comfortable suddenly realizes comfortable isn't the same as alive. This isn't gentle evolution. This is lightning strike awakening, instant clarity that changes everything in a moment. And whether you welcome it or resist it, the truth rising today cannot be pushed back down. The Venus-Uranus square activates what astrologers call the freedom crisis in relationships, that pivotal moment when your soul's need for authenticity collides with your ego's need for security, when your heart's desire for liberation challenges your mind's preference for predictability. You may feel this as sudden restlessness in a partnership that felt fine yesterday, unexpected attraction to someone completely different from your usual type, abrupt clarity that a relationship dynamic needs to change immediately, or shocking revelations about what you actually value versus what you thought you valued. Fixed signs you're feeling this most intensely today. Aquarius, your ruler Venus, is demanding you show up authentically in love, even if it disrupts the status quo. Taurus, Uranus is shaking your sense of security and asking what freedom actually costs. Leo, you're caught between wanting devotion and needing independence in partnerships. Scorpio, You're confronting whether your need for deep intimacy leaves room for individual evolution. But every sign feels this electric disruption rippling through their relationship reality. The cosmic timing is precise. Venus squares Uranus just 2 days before Venus enters Pisces on February 10th, shifting from revolutionary Aquarius detachment to deeply compassionate Pisces devotion. This transition creates a portal, a brief window where liberation and love aren't opposites but partners, where you can break free from what confines you while still honoring the tenderness in your heart. Mercury already moved into Pisces on February 6th, so your mind is softening, your intuition is rising, your inner voice is guiding you toward emotional truth rather than logical justification. The Sun remains in Aquarius until February 18th, keeping your consciousness focused on authenticity, innovation, and collective connection rather than ego attachment. Saturn is preparing to enter Aries on February 13th, just 5 days from now, initiating a completely new cycle of discipline, structure, and commitment that will last until 2029. And Neptune in Aries will conjunct Saturn on February 20th, merging dreams with reality, spirit with form, vision with manifestation. Everything happening this week is setting up massive shifts in how you structure your life, commit to your values, and build your future. Today's Venus-Uranus square is the catalyst, the cosmic shock that wakes you up to what needs to change before you can step into the new reality forming around you. The waning gibbous moon at 57.5% illumination adds another layer to this activation. You're in the integration phase after the Leo full moon that illuminated your relationship dynamics on February 1st. That lunation brought dramatic revelations about partnership, showed you where you're shining versus where you're dimming your light for others, revealed imbalances between your needs and someone else's. Now, 7 days later, you're processing what that full moon exposed, and the Venus-Uranus square is accelerating your ability to act on those revelations. Uranus went direct in Taurus on February 3rd after months of retrograde, which means change that was stalled, delayed, or internalized is now ready to manifest externally. Doors that felt locked are opening. Patterns that felt immovable are suddenly shifting. Resources, values, and security structures that seemed fixed are revealing their flexibility. The universe isn't asking your permission today. It's creating circumstances, feelings, encounters, or realizations that force your hand, that make continuing as you feel impossible. You're being guided, pushed, shocked into alignment with a version of love that matches who you're becoming, not who you used to be. If you're in a relationship, the Venus-Uranus square might manifest as sudden need for space that surprises both you and your partner, unexpected attraction or temptation that reveals something missing in your current dynamic, abrupt conversation that's been avoided for months, suddenly demanding to be spoken, shocking revelation about your partner's feelings, needs, or desires that you didn't see coming, or clarity that the relationship either needs to evolve dramatically or end completely. The square doesn't destroy healthy relationships, it liberates honest ones. If your partnership has room for authenticity, individual growth, and freedom within commitment, this energy strengthens it by clearing out pretense and encouraging truth. But if your relationship requires you to be smaller, quieter, more conventional, or less yourself than you actually are, this aspect exposes that limitation with ruthless clarity. The relationship may not end today, but the awareness of what needs to change becomes undeniable. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. For those who are single, this transit brings sudden attractions that feel electric, magnetic, completely unexpected. You might meet someone who embodies everything unconventional you've secretly wanted but never admitted. You might experience a chance encounter that feels fated, synchronistic, like the universe arranged it specifically for this moment. Or you might realize that your entire approach to dating, relationships, and love needs to be revolutionized because what you've been seeking doesn't actually match what your soul desires. Aquarius energy doesn't do casual well. It prefers deep intellectual and spiritual connection over superficial romance, but it also refuses to commit to anything that feels limiting or inauthentic. This square might bring sudden beginnings that feel thrilling and destabilizing at once, or it might bring sudden clarity that you're not actually available for partnership until you become more free within yourself. The Venus-Uranus square also impacts your relationship with money, self-worth, possessions, and what you value beyond relationships. Taurus rules material security, Venus rules pleasure and values, and Uranus disrupts both with lightning clarity about what actually matters to you versus what you've been taught matters. You might make spontaneous financial decisions today that feel liberating but risky. You might suddenly realize you've been investing time, energy, or money into something that doesn't align with your authentic values. You might receive unexpected income, gifts, or opportunities that arrive through unconventional channels. Or you might recognize that your sense of self-worth has been tied to external validation, material accumulation, or relationship status, rather than your inherent value as a soul. Uranus strips away the false, the performative, the accumulated identity structures that aren't actually you. Today's square might shock you into recognizing where you've been building security on foundations that don't actually support your authentic self. And that recognition, while uncomfortable, is profoundly liberating because it gives you permission to rebuild on ground that's genuinely yours. For Aquarius, this transit lights up your first house of identity, self-expression, and physical body, with Venus squaring Uranus in your fourth house of home, family, and emotional foundation. Your need to express yourself authentically, to show up in relationships as your true self without filtering or conforming, is directly challenging your inherited family patterns, your emotional conditioning around what relationships should be, or your sense of what creates safety and belonging. You may feel torn between revolutionary self-expression and the comfort of familiar emotional patterns. The breakthrough comes when you realize you can honor where you came from while refusing to let it define where you're going. Your authenticity isn't a rejection of your roots, it's a fulfillment of your soul's purpose. For Taurus, Venus squares Uranus directly in your first house from your 10th house of career, public image, and life direction. Sudden disruptions in your professional life or public identity might be forcing you to reconsider what you actually value in work, success, and recognition. You're being asked whether the stability you've built in your career or reputation still aligns with who you're becoming. The cosmic push is toward authenticity over approval, purpose over prestige, even if that means walking away from structures that once felt essential to your security. For Leo, the square activates your 7th house of partnerships from your 10th house of career and reputation. Your close relationships and your public life are pulling you in different directions, creating tension between personal intimacy and professional ambition, between devotion to others and devotion to your own path. The awakening today shows you whether your partnerships support your evolution or whether they're asking you to stay smaller than you're meant to be. For Scorpio, Venus in your 4th house squares Uranus in your 7th, creating friction between your private emotional world and your public partnerships. What you need to feel safe at home might be clashing with what your relationships demand from you, or you might realize that your partnership dynamics are disrupting your sense of inner security and emotional foundation. The transformation asks you to rebuild intimacy in ways that don't require you to abandon your need for emotional depth and privacy. The Sabian symbol for 28 degrees Aquarius, where Venus sits at this square, is a tree felled and sawed to ensure a supply of wood for the winter. This image speaks to necessary sacrifice, to clearing away what now longer serves in order to prepare for what's coming, to the wisdom of letting go of old growth so new life can emerge. Venus at this degree is asking what needs to be released from your relationship patterns, your value systems, your sense of beauty and pleasure, so that you can build something more sustainable and authentic for your future. The Sabian symbol for 28 degrees Taurus, where Uranus stations, is a woman pursued by mature romance. This speaks to awakening desire, to recognition of one's worth and desirability, to the courage required to be seen and pursued rather than chasing or hiding. Uranus at this degree is activating your capacity to be fully visible in your authenticity, to allow yourself to be desired for who you actually are, rather than who you pretend to be. Together, these symbols create a narrative. You're clearing away old relationship patterns that no longer serve your authentic self, making space for connections that see you, desire you, and value you for exactly who you are, without requiring you to perform or conform. The hours and days following this square will bring clarity. You might receive a message, have a conversation, encounter a synchronicity, or experience a realization that confirms what you've been feeling. Pay attention to what arises spontaneously, unexpectedly, with no effort or planning on your part. Uranus works through surprise, through events that bypass your conscious control and arrive as if orchestrated by the universe itself. Someone might reach out who you haven't heard from in years. A conversation might take an unexpected turn that reveals hidden truth. A situation might shift dramatically without warning, opening a door you didn't know existed. Or you might simply wake up one morning in the coming days with absolute clarity about what you need to do, say, change or release. The Venus-Uranus square doesn't just bring disruption for its own sake. It brings disruption that aligns you with your highest path, that removes obstacles between you and your authentic expression, that clears space for relationships, values, and experiences that match your frequency rather than forcing you to match theirs. Trust the process. Trust the shock. Trust the sudden shifts. Your soul knows exactly what it's doing, even if your mind is still catching up. As Venus prepares to enter Pisces in just 2 days, the energy will shift from electric awakening to compassionate integration. Pisces Venus brings tenderness, empathy, unconditional love, spiritual connection, and the ability to see beyond surface appearances into the soul of a person or situation. The disruption you experience today under the Aquarius-Uranus square creates space for the deeper devotion that Pisces will offer. You're clearing out inauthentic connection so that genuine intimacy can enter. You're releasing superficial values so that sacred values can anchor. You're shocking your system awake so that when love arrives in its most transcendent form, you're available to receive it fully. Mercury in Pisces is already softening your mental defenses, opening your intuition, making you more receptive to unspoken truths and energetic communication. By the time Venus joins Mercury in Pisces on February 10th, your heart and mind will be speaking the same language of compassion, forgiveness, and spiritual understanding. But first today, you must go through the awakening, the disruption, the shock of truth that refuses to be denied. Saturn's entrance into Aries on February 13th, just 5 days away, begins a new 2.5-year cycle of structured courage, disciplined action, and committed self-development. Aries is the warrior, the pioneer, the initiator who takes the first step even when the path is unclear. Saturn in Aries will ask you to build your life with courage rather than fear, to commit to your authentic path even when it's uncomfortable, to take responsibility for creating the reality you desire, rather than waiting for circumstances to allow it. This isn't the passive Saturn of waiting for perfect timing or building slowly over decades. This is active Saturn, demanding that you take the lead in your own life, that you stop waiting for permission, approval, or ideal circumstances before you begin constructing the reality your soul came here to experience. Saturn will spend the next 2.5 years teaching you that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the willingness to act despite the fear, to build despite uncertainty, to commit despite not knowing how everything will unfold. The Venus-Uranus square today is preparing you for this Saturn cycle by showing you where your current structures, commitments, and security strategies are built on compromise rather than authenticity. You can't build courageously if you're still clinging to patterns that keep you safe but small. You can't initiate from a place of power if you're still operating from a foundation of fear-based security. You can't pioneer a new path if you're still walking someone else's. Today's disruption clears the ground so Saturn can build something real, something worthy of your soul's purpose. Saturn in Aries will impact every area of your life over the next 2.5 years, but it begins with your relationship to yourself, your identity, your right to exist as you are without apology or compromise. Aries rules the self, the ego, the individual expression of consciousness that says, I am here, I matter, I have a right to take up space. Saturn will test this self-assertion, asking you to prove it through consistent action rather than empty declaration. You'll be challenged to show up for yourself when no one else is watching, to honor your own needs when others disapprove, to maintain your boundaries when pressure mounts to dissolve them. This is the training ground of authentic self-authority, the cosmic boot camp that transforms you from someone who talks about courage into someone who embodies it. And the Venus-Uranus square happening today, 5 days before Saturn's entrance, is the preview, the cosmic trailer for the full feature film about to begin. The shock you feel in your relationships today, the sudden clarity about what you will and won't tolerate, the abrupt awareness of where you've been compromising your authentic self for the comfort of others, all of this is showing you exactly what Saturn in Aries will demand you address over the coming years. The relationships that survive this transit will be the ones where both people have room to grow, change, evolve, and assert their individuality without threatening the connection. The relationships that don't survive will reveal themselves as structures built on outdated foundations that can't support who you're becoming. And when Saturn conjoins Neptune at 0 degrees Aries on February 20th, just 12 days from now, your dreams will begin crystallizing into form, your spiritual vision will merge with practical reality, and the future you've been sensing but couldn't quite grasp will start taking tangible shape. This conjunction happens at 0 degrees, the very first degree of Aries, the cosmic starting point, the astrological new year, the seed moment where pure potential meets manifestation. 0 degrees of any sign is a critical degree, a power point where the energy of that sign exists in its most concentrated, undiluted form. At 0 Aries, this is the birth of consciousness itself, the moment spirit decides to take form, the instant when the dream realizes it can become reality through committed action. Saturn represents structure, discipline, limitation, time, manifestation, the slow, patient building of something meant to last. Neptune represents dreams, spirituality, imagination, transcendence, the dissolution of boundaries between self and source, the vision of what could be if we weren't limited by material constraints. When these two planets meet, especially at 0 Aries, the impossible becomes possible because dream and discipline unite, because vision finds structure, because spiritual knowing gains practical application. This conjunction hasn't happened at 0 Aries in over 150 years. This is a generational moment, a collective initiation, a cosmic reset that will echo through decades. But for you personally, this conjunction is activating whatever falls at 0 degrees Aries in your natal chart, or whatever planets sit in the early degrees of Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn in your birth chart. This is where the merge happens for you specifically, where your personal dreams begin taking tangible form, where your spiritual vision downloads into practical manifestation. The Venus-Uranus square today is clearing the debris field, removing the old structures, shocking you out of patterns that would prevent you from receiving what this Saturn-Neptune conjunction wants to birth through you. You can't hold new wine in old wineskins. You can't build a new reality on a foundation still cluttered with compromised values, inauthentic relationships, or security strategies based on who you used to be rather than who you're becoming. Today's disruption is the demolition that precedes construction. Today's awakening is the clearing that precedes planting. Today's shock is the breakdown that precedes breakthrough. Everything happening this week is preparation for that massive conjunction, for that rare moment when spirit and structure unite to birth something entirely new in your life. Saturn and Neptune meeting at 0 Aries will ask you a direct question. What dream are you ready to commit to with disciplined action over the next 2.5 years? What vision has been living in your imagination that you're finally ready to bring into material form? What calling have you been sensing but avoiding because it required too much courage, too much change, too much letting go of who you used to be? The conjunction will offer you cosmic support for manifesting dreams that align with your authentic soul path, but it will require you to show up consistently, to work patiently, to build steadily, even when results aren't immediate. Neptune without Saturn is escapism, fantasy, spiritual bypassing, beautiful visions that never touch ground. Saturn without Neptune is dry structure, joyless discipline, building for the sake of building without inspiration or meaning. But Saturn and Neptune together at 0 Aries create spiritually grounded manifestation, disciplined devotion, structured imagination, the capacity to dream big and build real. This is the energy that builds cathedrals, that writes symphonies, that creates art that outlasts lifetimes, that manifests visions so aligned with source that they feel both deeply personal and universally resonant. The Venus-Uranus square is asking one essential question: are you living, loving, and valuing from a place of authentic truth or from a place of inherited programming? Are your relationships reflecting who you actually are or who you think you should be? Are your values genuinely yours, or are they borrowed from family, culture, society, religion, or past versions of yourself that you've outgrown? Are you choosing comfort over aliveness, predictability over possibility, approval over authenticity? And if the answer reveals misalignment, today's energy gives you the courage, clarity, and cosmic support to begin changing it. This isn't just about romantic relationships, though that's certainly included. This is about your relationship with money, with work, with pleasure, with beauty, with self-worth, with everything you've been taught to value versus what you actually value when you strip away external influence. Venus governs your value system at its core. What matters to you, what you're willing to exchange your life force energy for, what brings you genuine pleasure versus what you pursue because you think you should. Uranus shocks that system awake, revealing where you've been operating on autopilot, following scripts written by people who don't know your soul, pursuing goals that look impressive but feel empty, maintaining relationships that appear functional but lack genuine intimacy. The universe isn't punishing you with disruption, it's liberating you through awakening. Every shock, every sudden shift, every unexpected revelation is designed to free you from patterns that no longer serve the person you're becoming. The relationship that suddenly feels suffocating isn't breaking because you failed. It's breaking because you've outgrown the container it provided. The job that suddenly feels meaningless isn't disappearing because you're inadequate. It's dissolving because your soul has evolved beyond what that position could offer your growth. The friendship that suddenly reveals its toxicity isn't ending to hurt you, it's ending to make space for connections that match your current frequency. Uranus doesn't destroy what's genuinely aligned. Uranus destroys what's held together by habit, obligation, fear, or outdated identity rather than authentic resonance. If something survives a Uranus transit, it's because it's built on solid ground, because it has room for evolution, because both parties or all elements are committed to truth over comfort. Trust that what's breaking open today is breaking you free. Trust that what's being disrupted is making space for something better aligned. Trust that your soul orchestrated this exact moment, this exact awakening, this exact cosmic collision because it's time for you to experience love, connection, and self-worth from a frequency of absolute authenticity rather than conditional approval. You didn't arrive on this planet to live someone else's life. You didn't incarnate into this body to fulfill someone else's expectations of who you should be, how you should love, what you should value, or how you should build security. You came here with a unique frequency, a specific soul signature, a particular expression of consciousness that only you can embody. And every time you compromise that expression to fit into boxes that were never designed for you, you're not being practical or realistic or mature. You're betraying the very purpose of your existence. Today's Venus-Uranus square is your soul's intervention, the cosmic emergency broadcast that says, time's up on the pretending, time's up on the performing, time's up on the shrinking yourself to fit spaces too small for your expanding consciousness. The discomfort you feel today is growing pains, the ache of a caterpillar dissolving in the cocoon, the pressure of a seed cracking open beneath soil. You're not falling apart, you're breaking through. And what emerges on the other side of this disruption will be so much more aligned, so much more authentic, so much more alive than what you're releasing, that you'll look back on this moment as the turning point. The day the universe loved you enough to shock you awake before you spent another year, another lifetime, sleepwalking through someone else's dream. So as Venus squares Uranus at 27 degrees on this February 8th morning, feel the electricity in your nervous system. Feel the clarity rising in your awareness. Feel the freedom calling from the edges of your comfort zone. This is not happening to you. This is happening for you. Your heart is being shocked awake so it can finally beat to its own rhythm. Your relationships are being disrupted so they can either evolve into genuine intimacy or release you into availability for connections that honor your truth. Your values are being revolutionized so you can build a life based on what actually matters to your soul, rather than what looked good on paper. The freedom portal opens today and someone is coming. Something is shifting, some truth is revealing itself that will change your relationship reality forever. You're not imagining the signs. The universe is orchestrating breakthrough. Your timeline is shifting toward liberation. Your authentic love frequency is activating. And the next days and weeks will show you exactly how profoundly this moment matters. If this message resonated with your soul, leave a like and subscribe and comment. I claim my authentic love freedom to seal this revolutionary energy into your reality. The portal is open. The shock is purposeful. Your authentic love story is beginning now, and it looks nothing like you expected because it's finally, beautifully, undeniably yours.